precision, grace, perfection are their names. Why are Chinese athletes so good? Because they are the chosen. Not chosen by your God, but by the China God to train, compete, and win Olympic gold medals. One childhood memory many Chinese share in common is to be measured and tested by a sport talent scout to see if we are physically gifted for any sports. Had I not been told I was too fat for gymnastics, I might have been in Paris right now. But I'm not salty about it, because had simonebiles been screened and tested like me in China, she would be doing a new kind of gymnastics, the mental gymnastics, also known as math, with me somewhere in Beijing instead of Paris. Hi everyone, my name is Weipu. Today I will explain why simonebiles would absolutely suck in China by introducing you China's whole nation sports system, and how China selects and trains female gymnasts and divers. And then you will know why Chinese Olympians are definitely the best made in China you have ever seen. Did you know China did not get its first Olympic medal until 1984, and just within 40 years, China has grown from a country with 0 Olympic medals to amassing a total of 713 medals, even surpassing the US in a gold medal count in 2008. How did China achieve such miraculous growth within a short period of time? Well, in the Bible, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. In China, the government said, "Let there be sports," and there were Olympic medals. The biggest joke is this is not a joke. While countries started to participate in the Olympics in 1896, China was still swamped by wars, turmoils, and poverty. And when you were still weak and starving, there were no athletes nor the Olympics. But the Soviet Union came to China's rescue because they had discovered a shortcut to Olympic success, bypassing the restrictions of economic development through a highly centralized system, significant state investment, along with rigorous talent identification and training programs. Sports prowess can be mass-produced very, very fast. China thought it's a great win-win idea to build a system that can not only strengthen sports, but also people's patriotism. And nothing gets better than making your people proud, hearing your own national anthem from the highest podium. And you can also introduce a more positive and healthier brand of China to the whole world. So China quickly followed in its big brother's footsteps and built a Eastern Bloc-styled sports system, but only to be bigger, better, and more efficient. This Chinese sports system is actually termed as the whole nation sports system, or the Gold Medal Project. Just like the name suggests, with the full support from the country and the government, the system's goal is to train athletes to get as many gold medals as possible, especially in those disciplines of high medal counts but lower competitions, like diving, weightlifting, table tennis, and shooting. But how do you develop gymnastic champions when individuals are too poor to afford the expensive training? Well, that is only a problem for the US, not for China. Because people might be poor, but we as a country can build one best gym, recruit the best coaches, give them the best facilities, and then we select and train the best athletes for free. And we can make them beat America and be the champion. Unlike US pro athletes who are USDA certified, wild-caught free-range organic, usually trained at private sports clubs and funded by themselves, commercial endorsements, or just GoFundMe. But Chinese pro athletes, on the contrary, are classic made in China. Synthetic, farm-raised, and mass-produced. They are fully funded by the Chinese government or with Chinese taxpayers' money. Technically, everything public in China is owned by the government, sports included. So everything sports related that your little human brain can ever imagine. ranging from competitive sports to recreational sports, from athlete training to anti-doping to commercial endorsements, from sports policy to sports lottery, is owned and managed by a government entity called the General Administration of Sports of China. And by the way, the sports lottery is China's Powerball. While Americans buy lotteries to get rich, we Chinese use lotteries to strengthen our sports. But who is the boss of the General Administration of Sports of China? Well, it's China's Prime Minister and his officers. So you probably can tell China's sports system is more political than athletic. In order for you to understand how this system works, let's look at how brutally difficult it is for a regular Chinese kid to become an Olympic champion. Let's say after watching America's Simone doing a triple-double, China himself was like, who the heck was that black girl? And his secretary would tell him, sir, she's actually an American. Then China raises his eyebrow. An American? Why is an American stealing our medals? Why can China produce our own China Simone? After hearing this, the General Administration of Sport is scared because the big brother is angry. Immediately, he responds, yes sir, Simone will be made in China just like everything else is made in China, and let me pass down this commandment to my little brothers. They are provincial, city, and district sports administrations. Soon, every local gymnastic coach and scout receive this task to find China Simone. But they're a little bit perplexed, as they knew the wild-caught Texas Simone probably cannot be mass-produced in a Chinese sports factory. But to respect the system's rule of absolute obedience, as the lower drones can never say no to the higher ones. The local coaches also shouted out, yes sir, let's find Simone. So across China, you could hear this echoing of finding Simone, finding Simone, finding Simone. Even on the top of the Mount Everest in Tibet, you could see coaches trying to dig out Simone. Well, I never knew Simone could tumble at such high altitude, but you know, she's the GOAT. After searching every inch of China, there they found her, the China Simone. Oh wait, but why is my baby picture there? Is it because we're both black girls? Oh, you guys probably don't know. Growing up, I was so dark. Chinese always ask me if I'm black with ancestors from Africa. And you know, because China Simone is also a made in China, so long as you kinda look like the original, it's pretty good and people will pay. Of course, a local coach has to secure this 99-cent Temu deal of the China Simone, and they sent her to the city's amateur sports school to trial train. In China, every aspiring baby athlete has a few months time to prove that she's trainable before she lets go by the coach. And just like our education system, in sports, resources are also only given to those who show early signs of excellence, and the best resources are only devoted to the best. And now you know why Chinese students are so competitive, because if you don't fight hard, you get eliminated, and there's really no second chance when you mess up. So China Simone worked her little butt off to make the coach like her. And 3 months later, the school admits her, which also marks her official entry into the base layer of China's 3-tier sports pyramid, which has millions of kids like her at the bottom. Because China's gymnastic schools are all residential programs, China Simone, although only at 6, has to move away from her family, give up formal education, be a boarder, learn to take care of herself, hand wash her own laundry, and follow a military-style training program.
赖若愚，离家几年了？
离家3年。
3年没有回去过，对吧？想不想爸爸妈妈？
But because she's Simone, she can push through the extremely hard, somewhat primitive training conditions and get promoted to the provincial team in 2 years. Although that's just one rank up within the sports pyramid, only 10% of the kids can be selected by the provincial team. And just like her gymnastic peers, China Simone is from a poor working family. Joining the provincial team also means that not only her parents don't have to pay for her training at all, but she, as young as 8 years old, can finally financially support her family with the monthly salary she receives from the team. Yes, when you make it to the provincial team, you actually get paid to train. While gymnastics is a middle class or even rich kid sport in the US, due to its high risk of injuries and harsh training, gymnastics is actually a poor people's game in China. Chinese rich kids usually do decent appearance and status enhancing sports like tennis, golf, basketball, or ballet to strengthen mind, body, and spirit, and maybe their Ivy League application. For poor kids like China Simone, professional sports is anything but recreational. It's actually their newfound livelihood, a way to get out of poverty and a ticket to a better life. So China Simone holds on to her gymnastics very, very tight, that she trains 20 hours a week, whereas American kids of her age only train a few hours. She knows once she's selected by the national team, she will achieve her Chinese dream. Because national team members with good competition records usually go to a very decent Chinese university without taking the brutal Chinese university entrance exams. And they can even get bianzhi, which means a permanent job placement inside the government or the government-owned entity. A job with bianzhi is indeed unimaginable for someone from her background. While Americans don't want to work for the government, in China, government jobs with bianzhi is actually the most coveted position, as it basically equals to lifelong job security, great benefits, and social status. Each year, thousands of applicants compete for one bianzhi job opening in major cities, and even a security guard position with bianzhi requires you to have a master's degree or above in security management. Yes, to work for the Chinese government or just to guard China's doors is much, much harder than being admitted to America's Harvard. And when China Simone hears the national team will relocate her to Beijing, she screams like those American brats opening up their Ivy League admission letters. Because national teams only pick 1 or 2 from each top-performing provincial teams each year. Even getting into China's national teams is way more selective than your Harvard. So finally, China Simone is officially at the top layer of the sports pyramid, and she's just one small step away from beating the actual Simone and getting the ultimate Olympic gold medal. It's only at the national team China Simone realizes how powerful China's whole nation sports system really is. Literally, all China Simone needs to do by herself is to wake up, open her eyelids, train, believe she can be Simone, bring glory to China, and repeat. Every day, a bus transports her and her teammates from their dorms to the training facility. And she's only allowed to eat in their cafeteria where food is sourced from a special organic farm. Meat from cattle raised on special ranch. Coaches also don't allow her to eat the unsafe and dangerous food that regular Chinese people eat to avoid cross-contamination from banned substances. And her coach also makes sure she trains harder than the actual Simone. Every day, the training starts at 5:50 a.m. and doesn't end until 7 or 8 p.m. She trains 6.5 days a week. What's more amazing is the high-tech field training at the national teams. Look at this aquarium-like swimming pool where the coach can directly see your kicks under the water. Have you ever seen the AI-aided training imaging tool which can replicate your dives in seconds and mathematically tell you how to polish your skills? Did you know our table tennis team uses machine learning and AI technology based on abductive learning theory to train? Well, I'm definitely too uneducated to even understand what this technology is, but basically this new thing can suggest tailored training plans after it analyzes both our and our competitors' historical performances. Isn't that cool that human scientists with PhD degrees and AI algorithm simultaneously study the live competitions in a lab thousands of miles away from the actual competition, meticulously mapping out the ping pong ball's moving sequence, trajectory, and their landing points. Then, a strategic data-based analysis report will be generated and sent to the coaching team's iPads, which can detail the recommended strategies based on their predicted winning probabilities. And the athlete then can pick an AI-backed winning strategy to beat their next competitor. Seriously, as a human table tennis player, you have to beat China twice in order to win. First, the human Chinese player, and second, Chinese AI behind it. And no wonder the Chinese table tennis team is so dominant. So, with the help of AI and the Simone inside of her, China Simone finally did it. She found there's nothing better than being a Chinese Olympic gold medalist. Did you know her ex-teammate Chen Wei, whom the famous Chen Vault is named after, was the first female gymnast to have received over $1 million in prize money, and the government also gifted her a few free apartments. And of course, the prize money China Simone receives definitely reflects the inflation and is very generous. So she definitely has the money to glow up in Korea and be an actress, just like the Bean Princess Liu Xuan, who won the 2000 Olympic Game. She could also be like the China Eileen, who received over 26 high-end endorsements after a successful Winter Olympic run, earning over $35 million a year. While China Simone also likes to drape herself head to toe with free Louis Vuittons, just like China Eileen, and go to the Met Gala representing China.
I definitely feel as though I am just as American as I am Chinese. I'm American when I'm in the US, and I'm Chinese when I'm in China. So yeah, if people don't believe me and if people don't like me, then that's their loss. They're never gonna win the Olympics, so.
Fellow champion friends Zhang Yining, Fu Mingxia, and Guo Jingjing all want to introduce her to some rich men, as all of them married richest dudes from Hong Kong. As nobody knows it better than themselves that Hong Kong rich men really love cute mainland Olympic champions. Look at their weddings and their rich elite husbands. If you can turn yourself from a poor gymnastic girl to a crazy rich Asian, who cares about your dad? Oh, sorry, your husband is a geezer who is 20 years your senior. So not only in Disneyland, where dreams come true, China's whole nation sports system can also make magic happen. And rags to riches is not only in the American dream, but the Chinese dream can make you even richer. While China Simone is a bit bothered by the fact that she actually climbed on layer upon layer upon layers of dead bodies on those no-name athletes to the top of the sports pyramid. But she just shrugged it off and tells the media that she's just very lucky, as many are called, few are chosen. Yes, China Simone is right. Luck has to strike not only once, but multiple times for a Chinese girl to even be selected by a sport scout. Compared to China's gymnastic or diving selection standards, the Korean entertainment industry has no standards. Like the famous Asian beauty standard, if you don't fit it, you won't be considered beautiful. And Chinese coaches also believe if you don't fit the physical standard for its respective sport, you're not trainable. Unlike the unrealistic Korean beauty standard, the Chinese sports standard is actually a real science backed by thousands of peer-reviewed papers. And with just 2 or 3 simple tools, you will know if you will be a China Simone in seconds without breaking your neck. You only need a mirror, a measuring tape, and a calculator if you're not Asian. Let me explain how to test yourself. Over the years, the standard might have evolved and changed, but what remains unchanged is Asia's #1 golden rule: thou shalt have good looks. Yes, because looking cute is a free pass to opportunities in Asia. A future Olympian, of course, has to take advantage of that. A really good scout will even tell you to always select the cuter girls like you're in the K-pop industry. Yes, judges always favor the cuter ones, just like those netizens. So please just take out your mirror and look at your facial features as if you were prepping for a K-pop audition. Be honest with yourself. Are they symmetrical? Are they cute? Are they meeting the beauty standard? If not, sorry, you are out. and plastic surgeries do not count because we only want natural beauties to represent our country. If you watched up to this point and subscribed, congratulations! You are cute enough to proceed to the body measurement test. When I say the Chinese sports standard is scientific, it is really scientific and data-driven. For a girl to be a bouncing powerhouse, your lower body to height ratio should be between 0.50 to 0.51. Before you can call yourself the next China Simone, we will have to measure the length of your calf and thigh to make sure their proportions are correct. For men, your bust to height ratio should be around 56%. Generally, we want longer arms for gymnastics, but we want diversity. So here is the inclusive higher formula, using the distance between your fingers minus your height. If the difference is between 0 to 5 centimeters, it means your arms are short. Sorry, the only apparatus you'll be good at is the ring. 4 to 7 centimeters, you'll be a good AA athlete, perfect. 6 to 9, your arms are long, but we probably will let you train for pommel horse if you are really cute. 8 to 10, you can do floors and vault. Over 10, oh sorry, that's too long and we cannot pick you. Sorry. Does so much math and numbers make you guys dizzy? Now you know why Chinese are so good at math, right? Well, if you mess up a number, you might really miss the next Simone and cost your country's medal count. And we really cannot afford that mistake. If you're not Asian or bad at math, please just bring a calculator. And because China is not America, you're definitely encouraged to openly talk about other people's skin color or genes without being labeled as a racist. Yes, please listen up. We only want thin, small kids from thin, small couples. No fat genes in our gym. Not even recessive fat genes. You absolutely have to be paper thin. Listen, we're really not fat shaming you, it's just a kind reminder to protect your precious mental health. If you and your husband are too big and fat, please just rest at home and not bring your potentially fat kid to be tested. FYI, we won't look at you. Bye. Small but mighty, with good muscles, small hips, big hands, and feet are what we're looking for. Oh, and we Chinese do not love curves like how Americans are so obsessed with the Kardashians. Didn't you know that they would make terrible divers because big boobs and inflated asses will make a big splash? And by the way, broader and flat shoulders only. Short Achilles are a must. And absolutely no big joints or overextended arms. They're too prone to injuries. Oh, looks are not everything. And don't forget the heart. We also need your babies to be obedient, stable, resilient, tough, optimistic, very coordinated. Yes, we need a baby Jesus, sent by the gymnastic god to resurrect China's women's gymnastics. I don't know if the real Simone could measure up to our standard, but even if she did, she would still not be selected. Why? In China, coaches actually need to look at your biological parents, making sure they're not too big in order to make the final verdict. Because Simone's biological parents were really not around for coaches to observe, they would not make such a risky bet on a child who might grow out of the sport. Many people would ask, why does China impose such strict standards that would even exclude Simone? Well, simply because when your city or region only has one gym with limited coaching staff and your goal is to produce gold medalists ASAP, it's a no-brainer that you only want the best, the fittest, the strongest, with the most likelihood to medal, to train at your gym. And you do not want to risk it because training is expensive. And skill-wise, coaches intentionally look for the body and personality types that are not only suitable for China's flexibility-based training, but are more resistant to the injuries that might be caused by this type of training modality. The skills of American gymnasts like Simone are built on strength and conditioning. But Chinese gymnasts and platform divers are based on high flexibility and ultra-low body weight, while strength-based training develops athletes who will be strong and well-conditioned. Flexibility training requires you to be naturally thin, lean, and flexible to begin with. Because of the two different training philosophies, Chinese gymnasts always look 3 sizes smaller than their American counterparts. And while American girls tumble and flip, Chinese girls turn and leap. Flexibility-based training is famous for producing athletes with graceful lines, precise techniques, with high difficulties. And once they hit, even Simone cannot even get to them. But unfortunately, the biggest problem with this type of training is a lot of times they do not hit. As far as the inconsistency issue, the flexibility training itself is more to blame than Chinese girls' inability to handle pressure. Flexibility training has to start young, and the training routines are way harder than strength-based training. Look at those freaking difficult turns and leaps. They're so hard on your shoulders, feet, and joint and the entire body, making your body wear out at a much quicker rate. Therefore, Chinese athletes tend to suffer from accumulated chronic tissue wear and tear injuries, whereas American gymnasts or strength-based athletes typically get more traumatic injuries like MCL, ACL tear, ruptured Achilles. Accumulated tissue wear and tear injuries are relatively more minor, and they don't put training at a complete stop. You can usually push it through with strong willpower and effective pain management. However, the intense pressure from international competitions will worsen and manifest such injuries way more, making you more likely to crumble and fall. So, maintaining a low body weight is a key and lifeline to flexibility-based training. That's why nature is your biggest enemy, not America's Simone. Once puberty hits, you gain weight, height, and curves, and you don't flip and twist as before, and the chance of injury increases too. For the strength-based athletes, puberty actually helps because it increases your muscle strength. But for flexibility-based athletes, puberty is usually a death sentence if you do not enforce draconian weight loss routines. Every day, China's diver girls have to be weighed up to 5 or 6 times a day. Everyone has a target weight according to their height. Even if she's a few grams overweight, she won't resume training until she sheds a few extra grams. China's 5 times gold medalist Chen Ruoling told the media she only ate 1 meal a day for 5 or 6 years, and her only 1 meal only consisted of a little tofu and veggies. Due to her success in controlling weight and curbing the impact of puberty, she's now the head coach of the Tokyo Olympic champion Quan Hongchan, who delivered 3 out of 5 perfect dives in Tokyo. She's not as perfect as Tokyo right now, mainly because she's too fat, and they're working very hard to drop her weight to below 88 pounds. And they really had to take a piece of cake from this 16-year-old. While flexibility training has consistency issues, puts young athletes' health at risk, and makes the Western audience feel disturbed. Why do Chinese coaches still use it? First, in Chinese ideologies, dieting and training hard for your country should be praised and is honorable. In a collective society, any personal sacrifices and hardships can be justified in front of national glory and victory. And second, and most importantly, flexibility training gives coaches much more controllability than strength-based training. Just by looking at your birth year, the coach may not know if you can go to the Olympics, but he will for sure know that you will not make it. All Chinese Gymnast Olympians up to the Paris squad were either born on the Olympic year or 1 year prior. Records show no Chinese women gymnasts born in the year of 1989, 1990, 1993, 1994, 1997, and 1998 were ever selected for the Olympics. Was the old gymnastic rule that female gymnasts peak at 16 actually correct? Well, yes and no. No if you are strength-based, because flexibility training has to start very young and is much harder on your mind and body. After 10 to 12 years intense training, at 16, you usually have accumulated quite a few injuries, but not too much to negatively impact your performance. And luckily, your body is still healthy and flexible enough to pull off so many difficult skills so that you can win. However, if you were like Simone, born in 1997, a year after the Olympic year, that's not just bad, but that's the worst. By the time she's age eligible for the Olympics, she's already 19. And also she's been through the puberty and has accumulated 3 more years of injury than her 16-year-old teammate. She might have insane talents, but her body simply cannot hold it in one piece to sustain the training. Broken bones that can grow back, But once your tissues are worn out, there's just nothing you or science can do. You might feel very sorry for those athletes who were born in the wrong year or reach puberty way too soon. But coaches love this training modality because they will clearly know who to invest more and who to just let go. It's cruel, but it makes sense when you only have limited training resources and unlimited young talents, and you have huge pressure to medal. You definitely have to maximize your chance by doing this strategy. And in China, if athletes do not medal, not only the coaches will suffer, but the local government leaders will also get into trouble. Simone's Tokyo withdrawal will not affect Texas governor's re-election. However, in China, an athlete's Olympic medal does decide whether a mayor can be promoted to a governor or not. As I said before, Chinese sports are actually more political than purely athletic. Medal counts are actually important political KPIs for local sport administrators, mayors, and governors, reflecting how well they're doing. So when you medal, their political prospect gets better, and vice versa. In return, those leaders' KPIs and promotions can also determine your team's future funding and how your team treats you. So Chinese athletes really are not just competing for themselves like their American counterparts. When way too many interest groups and people's livelihood depend on the athlete, Chinese athletes would never withdraw in the middle of an Olympic game. China's swimmer Zhang Yufei competed with a high fever of over 103 Fahrenheit in the Asian Games and still won multiple golds. Weightlifter Tang Gonghong successfully attempted the weight so heavy it almost killed her due to the hyper-increased blood pressure. Unfortunately, after stepping down from the highest Olympic podium, she was immediately rushed to the ER to have her life saved. Chinese athletes really bet on their lives to compete. Apart from the political pressure, they also knew the day and night difference between getting a gold and a silver medal, to medal and not to medal. For example, the 14-year-old perfect diver Quan Hongchen came from an impoverished rural family of 7, whose dad was a sugarcane farmer. Mom stayed home after a car accident, and brother dropped out of middle school. After Tokyo, Quan became a household name in China. It is estimated that her yearly income right now is at least 5 million Chinese yuan, almost $1 million US. So basically, she got 1 million Chinese yuan for each Olympic dive, 5 in total. She also realized her childhood dream of diving to pay for her mom's medical bill. Today, her family is no longer poor. They moved into a much better house. Her brother went from a migration worker to a TikTok influencer, and her 2 younger siblings are also training to dive professionally. Although the whole nation sports system is proficient at producing top athletes and giving them a second chance for life, many expressed their concern. Someone estimated that for each gold medal China earned in Athens, it would cost China 700 million yuan or $100 million US. 20 years later, it would only be more expensive. While it felt great to hear your national anthem from the highest podium, people doubt whether it's worth it to spend that much money and put our poor little kids through such a hard process. For the first time, Chinese people are cooling down their enthusiasm for this year's Olympic, as most people find athletes' gold medals have nothing to do with their personal well-being. Sadly, as long as the Olympic continues as a Cold War battleground between countries instead of it being about those athletes' individual merits, China's whole nation sports system will continue to exist. However, for the first time in history, China is sending much older gymnasts, both female and male, to Paris. Maybe China is just running out of enough talented 16-year-olds, and it seems that China's aging population and low birth rate are really threatening this pyramid-like whole nation sports system. As local coaches do not have that many kids to choose from, it will be very interesting to witness where China goes in the next decade. You don't have to root for China, but please show your support for Chinese athletes. Please share and subscribe, and I will bring something even more interesting next time. Bye bye.